How's it going? Squirrels MK here, and well, today is the future! So for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, basically, 26 years ago today was prophesized as a day that Marty McFly would travel forward to the future in the film series Back to the Future. And so this is the day that he comes to the future in Back to Series Part 2, and you know, we see flying cars, hoverboard, like the infamous pink hoverboard. We have self-drying jackets, self-tying up shoes, and that's how they saw the future. That's how they saw, like, right today, that's what they thought we'd have technologically and socially. And like the only thing that they seemed to kind of get right was kind of the idea that we'd have moving pictures as our news. So obviously we have apps and tablets and stuff like that, and I've just got the BBC News up now. But yeah, so that's kind of the only thing they got right with the whole Harry Potter-esque newspapers with moving pictures. So I was like, I'll vaguely give that one to them. But yeah, so it's kind of mind-boggling, because obviously the series was like one of those films which you just had to watch in my childhood, in the childhood of people growing up from my age. I'm not sure what it was like for people younger than me, but this film was just like, oh my god, like, no doubt when I go to the pub with my friends soon, we're all going to be like, oh my god, it was Back to the Future Day, it's amazing. So this was the image that was presented of the future 26 years ago. So what I wanted to do was to say what I think is going to be like in the future in 26 years. So in 2041, let me just check that in my head. 2041. If I got that wrong, no, I'm pretty certain that's right. I'm doubting myself now. So yeah, so 2041, what do I think the world is going to be like? Well, there has often been this kind of image of the future which presents a very sci-fi flying car perspective of the future and what the world is going to be like. And well, in 26 years' time, I don't think that we will be at that point yet. I think we need a good, 50, 75 years to even remotely be near to starting those technologies. I just don't see it as a thing in the near future, which is quite a sad perspective, but I'm looking at the progression of technology and how it's been since this film and even before that was made, and I just don't see it possible. So what do I see in the future? Well, in my head, I kind of picture a world, and there's loads of big glass skyscrapers and buildings, in at least some of the more economically developed areas. I see that there'll be massive improvements in things like green transport. Just one, like we've seen electric cars. I know in America there are like Priuses, which are remarkably well known for being environmentally friendly. And well, I think that there are going to be massive progressions in the transport field in this sense. I feel like we're going to have very low emissions from cars eventually in the future. And I do feel 26 years is enough time for there to be so much change. Like at dinner the other night, my dad was talking about a car book he had when he was a kid, and how it was talking about car, and it had a page on cars in the future. And he said that actually they look a lot like what they kind of predicted, and he was like, oh my god, it's amazing. And so I'm just like, yeah, no, I see a green future when it comes to transport, because it's such a big thing. We've had this Volkswagen scandal this past few months, and it's just like, I see a green transport future. And furthermore, at the moment they're trialling driverless cars. Like in my city, it's one of the origins of the trials for the UK's driverless car kind of system, and I just think that's amazing. Like we're at the point where we have the technology for that. So I feel like, at least visibly in what you can see, I think transport will definitely be massively improved. I can see things like monorails and the train systems being very complex and improved. Obviously 26 years might be pushing it a little bit, because obviously to change the infrastructure of a country is quite hard, but I can picture like massive changes. And then like kind of the other way as well, which obviously you wouldn't necessarily visibly see, but I kind of feel like we'll be an online world. Like I can see like social media and talking to people and super fast internet, that will be absolutely prominent. Like we are the first, not me personally, but like my cousins who are a good 10 years younger than me, like and people that are growing up like 3-year-olds now, like they are the most technologically capable generation ever to exist. Like my friend's daughter, she's 2 and she's playing on a tablet and she knows how to operate it, and she could do that since about the age of 1. Like, in my head, that's absolutely crazy. Like, when I was little, I read paperback books and stuff like that. And so, like, little kids are going to be completely computer literate, and so there's going to be massive changes in that sense. And I feel that that will help enable, sure, more technological advances. And then, as well as like cyberspace being so important, I also feel like we will be, within 26 years, within my lifetime, obviously, I'd like to think that when I'm in my 50s, is it 40s? I can't remember. One of the two. When I'm in my late 40s or early 50s, I'd like to think that is my lifetime still, that I'm not dead by that point. I'd like to think that as well, that we would be the first, we would have the first time in the world in which, obviously, technically dinosaurs, no currency then, but I'd like to think that we would literally be like moneyless currency. So we've obviously seen like credit cards and debit cards, but I always want there to be like a chip in our arm that we scan and then sorted, and everything's done online and through transactions like that. I mean, we've seen like the rise of bitcoins and that how they're just like not tied to like a country. And then also you've also got recently the development of like mobile, obviously at least in the UK, mobile phone apps which you scan at the till, and and so I think we'll be a currency-less. We'll have currency, but we'll be like it'll be virtual transactions. We won't have any physical money anymore. And then like another key area as well is things like medicine. That's one area which I do think we will have like massive developments and improvements. Like we've seen the impact and the research that's gone into stem cells recently and how they've been managed to growing organs. And I just feel like stem cells and nanobots and stuff like that they will be dramatically increasing our use in medicine. And I feel like there will be a lot of technological advances in that way. And that in 26 years, that is a long time in the medicine world, and that there could be some big changes. But on the flip side, like so far I've been quite optimistic about like the future, and so I just wanted to like maybe say some of the ways in which I'm not necessarily as optimistic about the future. So in 26 years' time, like I'm actually quite fearful that there will be some dramatic financial inequality in the world. Like in my country at least, I see a substantial divide between the wealthy and the poor. Like, I've been in a situation where I've been around very underprivileged people, and I've also been in a situation at university where I was around very privileged people. And so I'm a bit like, wow, is this going to ever change? Like, so far in the world, the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. And, like, thankfully in the UK we have, like, a system which people can fall back on. I'm very much in favour of the social state, but in the future, like, there'll come a point where there will just be such a big divide, and that's just within my own country. Like in the world, like there are nations which are so economically underdeveloped. It's quite a scary thought to me. And then the same is also kind of linked to political instability in regions. I mean, recently we've seen the refugee crisis in Africa, and how people were just fleeing in vast numbers just to be safe. And I fear that like certain regions of the world, they'll just be run by militant groups and dictators and not necessarily. I don't want to be forward against any political system, but I just see that some parts of the world just become redundant and no-go areas, and that it's just crazy to think about. But I see that as a future as well. I see a very dynamic like kind of thing to the future, and it's really weird. So so that's what I predict in 26 years. And we shall certainly see on that sense. But then, also in this video, I want to talk about how I see myself in 26 years' time. So it's going to be very cliched and very similar to everyone else. So in that time, like I'm obviously at an age where I'm slowly getting to the point where eventually we'll have kids. So in 26 years' time, I imagine I will probably have virtually grown-up kids. Like I will have teenagers. Like that's kind of crazy in my head, but I could potentially have teenagers in 26 years' time. It's actually kind of mind-boggling because it's not at that point yet that I could have teenagers. I'd like to think I'd have a husband or a spouse, preferably a husband, but spouse is fine too. I'd like to think I have a profession, something that I really love doing, and I'd like to think that I have a house and property and savings and stuff like that. Like 26 years time, that's what you're kind of like in your head if you're not living a subsistence life, that's the kind of like the tunnel vision idea that you have. But really thinking about it, what I want as well as these things is to be happy, and I really want to have actually made an impact in some way, and I want to feel fulfilled. Like I'm interested in politics, and being interested in politics, you know, it's kind of unavoidable that the whole idea that you want to make a difference, like whether you want to go into politics or into an NGO or to just work in your community, like there is this kind of underlying, you want to make a difference, whether you think they do make a difference, and obviously some politicians are just channeled into that route through their birth and their family. I'm not going to go into that one, but like for me, I want to genuinely make a difference in the world, and even if it's just like my small little bit of the world, I just want to be able to look back in 26 years time and say, look, this is what I've done, this small thing I've managed to achieve, and I just want to be able to say, hey, I did it. So yeah, so guys, this was my Back to the Future remembrance, my Back to the Future vlog. There you go. Just, you know, talking about how I see myself in the future and what I see the future like. And well, I hope you guys enjoyed, and that's it from me. So bye guys!